Hello everyone, and welcome back to Western Flavors. In our last episode, Ty's dream camping trip with Amy and little Lindy turned into a nightmare when they encountered a mother bear and her cub on the trail. The situation escalated when the same bear returned to their campsite, destroying their food supplies and leaving the family terrified and spending the night in their truck. Despite the trauma, they relocated to a new campsite, but the damage was done. Lindy was scared, Amy was on edge, and Ty felt like he'd failed his family. If you're enjoying this season, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a chapter. Today's episode follows the Borden family as they discover that sometimes the worst detours lead to the most beautiful destinations, and that healing begins when you stop trying to control everything and simply let yourself breathe. Let's dive in. The new campsite was more open than their first location, with better sightlines and positioned near a wide meadow. Objectively, it should have felt safer. But as Ty hammered in the tent stakes, his movements were mechanical, joyless. The magic he'd hoped to create for Lindy felt irreparably broken.
Ty, we don't have to stay. We could just go home.
No, I worked so hard to plan this. I wanted to give Lindy something special.
But even as he said it, the words felt hollow. Lindy sat on a blanket nearby, unnaturally quiet for a toddler. She hadn't laughed or explored since the bear encounter. She just clutched her compass and watched her parents with worried eyes. They set up camp in silence, both hypervigilant, jumping at every sound. When a squirrel rustled through the underbrush, Amy gasped, and Ty's hand immediately went to the bear spray on his belt. They exchanged looks. This wasn't working. The fear had taken root too deep. By evening, they sat around a small fire trying to eat dinner, but none of them had an appetite. Lindy pushed food around her plate, and when Ty tried to point out the stars emerging overhead, she just buried her face in Amy's shoulder. "Want to go home, Mommy?" Amy's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Ty over their daughter's head, and he could see the exhaustion there, the strain of trying to pretend everything was okay.
Maybe we should.
The sound of an approaching vehicle cut him off. Headlights swept across their camp, and a battered pickup truck pulled up. An older man climbed out wearing a park volunteer vest, his weathered face kind in the firelight. "Evening, folks. I'm Frank Morrison, park volunteer. Saw your camp lights and wanted to check if you'd heard the bear warning that went out this afternoon."
We've heard it. We've lived it. Had 2 encounters in the last 24 hours.
Frank's expression shifted to concern and sympathy. "I'm sorry to hear that. The drought's been pushing wildlife into camping areas all season. Are you planning to stay here?"
Honestly, we're not sure what we're doing. We're too nervous to sleep. Our daughter is terrified, and leaving in the dark doesn't seem safe either.
Frank nodded thoughtfully, studying them for a moment. "I might have a solution. There's a place about 30 minutes from here. The locals call it Paradise Pond. I've been camping there for 20 years, and I've never seen a bear near it. There's a natural hot spring that feeds the area, changes the mineral composition. Wildlife tends to avoid it. It's peaceful, beautiful, and most importantly, it's safe."
You'd show us? Now?
I was heading there myself. You'd actually be doing me a favor. The company would be nice. And honestly, looking at your little one there, I think you all need a place where you can actually relax. Amy looked at Ty, then at Lindy's frightened face, then back at Frank.
Okay. Yes. Please.
The hike through the dark forest felt surreal. Frank led with a powerful headlamp, and after the first 10 minutes, he offered to carry Lindy on his shoulders. To everyone's surprise, she agreed, her tiny hands gripping his hair gently. "You're being very brave, little one. What's your name?" "Lindy." "That's a beautiful name." "Lindy, have you ever seen fireflies?" "No." "What's fiery flies?" "Keep watching. We're getting close to where they live." Sure enough, as they walked, tiny lights began appearing in the darkness, fireflies, blinking like earthbound stars. Lindy gasped with delight, the first genuine joy they'd heard from her all day. "Mommy! Daddy! Lights. Amy felt tears prick her eyes at the wonder in her daughter's voice. Behind her, Ty squeezed her shoulder gently. The trail wound through the forest, and gradually Amy noticed the air changing, growing warmer, carrying the scent of minerals and wildflowers. Then Frank stopped. Close your eyes, all of you. Lindy, you can keep looking. Tell us what you see. They closed their eyes obediently, hearing water in the distance, feeling humid warmth on their faces. Then Frank directed them forward a few more steps. Okay, open. Amy and Ty opened their eyes and stood frozen in awe. Paradise Pond spread before them, illuminated by a nearly full moon that turned the water into liquid silver. Wisps of steam rose from the surface where the hot spring fed it, creating an ethereal, dreamlike quality. A small waterfall cascaded down moss-covered rocks on the far side, catching moonlight as it fell. But it was the surrounding landscape that truly stole their breath. Lush ferns as tall as Amy's waist, wildflowers closed for the night, trees draped in moss that glowed silver in the moonlight. The meadow beside the pond was dotted with smooth stones, and the grass looked impossibly soft and inviting. Wow, pretty water, Daddy. She wriggled in Frank's arms, wanting down. When he set her on her feet, she ran toward the water's edge without fear, her trauma momentarily forgotten in the face of such beauty.
Lindy, wait.
It's safe. The edge is gradual, and the water's warm. Let her explore. They watched as Lindy touched the water, then laughed with pure delight. It's warm. Mommy, water is warm.
This place is... I don't have words.
This is what I wanted you to see. This is Alberta's real gift. Not the fear, but the beauty. Sometimes you just have to know where to look for it. They set up camp in the meadow, Frank establishing his tent a respectful distance away to give them privacy. Even the act of setting up the tent felt different here later, easier, without the constant edge of anxiety. By the time they finished, exhaustion had caught up with all of them. But it was a different kind of tired. Not the drained, terrified exhaustion from the previous night, but the good tired that comes from being truly at peace. Lindy had already fallen asleep in Amy's arms, and they laid her gently in the tent on her sleeping bag. For the first time in 2 days, she looked peaceful, her little face relaxed. Tide and Amy sat by the pond's edge, dangling their feet in the warm water. The steam created shifting patterns in the moonlight, and somewhere in the distance, an owl called softly.
I can't believe we're here. A few hours ago, I was ready to pack up and drive home in the dark, bears be damned.
I'm sorry, Amy, for all of it. I was so focused on creating this perfect trip that I stopped listening to you, stopped seeing what was really happening.
You wanted to give Lindy something special, that's not wrong.
But it wasn't about what Lindy needed. It was about proving something to myself, that I could be the dad I never had, that I could create these perfect memories. And instead, I traumatized our daughter and put you through hell.
Amy turned to face him, taking his hands in hers.
T, look around. We're here, in this impossibly beautiful place. If everything had gone according to plan, we never would have found this. Sometimes the detours are the real destination.
Frank approached quietly, carrying 3 tin cups of tea he'd brewed on his camp stove. That you might want something warm. Chamomile good for helping you actually sleep after a rough few days.
Thank you for everything. You saved our trip.
Frank settled onto a smooth boulder nearby, sipping his tea. I'm glad I could help. Can I tell you something? 20 years ago, I lost my son. Hiking accident in these mountains. For years after, I couldn't come back here. The beauty felt like a betrayal. How could the world be so beautiful when my boy was gone?
Frank, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. But eventually I realized something. Beauty and pain exist together. You can't have one without the other. And when I finally came back, I found this place, Paradise Pond. It reminded me that even after the worst things happen, there's still beauty worth finding. Still reasons to keep going. He paused, staring at the moonlit water. Now I help families camp safely. Try to make sure they have good experiences. I figure if I can help create one good memory, one moment of peace, then maybe something good comes from my loss.
That's a beautiful way to honor him.
It's the only way I know how. And honestly, helping you folks tonight, seeing that little girl's face when she saw the fireflies, that's why I do this. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, drinking their tea, letting the peace of Paradise Pond seep into their bones. You know what I've learned? The best memories aren't the planned ones. They're the ones that happen when you stop trying so hard and just let yourself be present. His words settled over Ty like a blanket. He'd been so determined to orchestrate every moment, to create picture-perfect experiences, that he'd forgotten the most important thing, just being there with his family. Morning at Paradise Pond was a revelation. Amy woke first, unzipping the tent to watch the sunrise paint the water in shades of pink and gold. The wildflowers had opened brilliant purples, yellows, and reds, creating an explosion of color around the pond's edge. Dragonflies danced over the water's surface, their iridescent wings catching the light. Butterflies moved from flower to flower, and in the trees, birds sang a symphony of welcome. Lindy woke next, and the transformation in her was immediate and beautiful. She sat up, saw the colors outside the tent, and her face split into a huge smile. "Mommy?" So pretty. All the fear from yesterday was gone, replaced by the natural curiosity and joy of a healthy 2-year-old. She scrambled out of her sleeping bag and ran outside, squealing with delight at everything she saw. "Daddy, wake up. Come see. So many flowers." Ty emerged from the tent, rumpled and sleepy, and stopped in his tracks. In the morning light, Paradise Pond was even more spectacular than it had been by moonlight. The water was crystal clear, revealing smooth stones and small fish. The steam rising from the hot spring created rainbows where it caught the sunlight.
This is the most beautiful place I've ever seen.
Frank was already up, a camp stove heating water for coffee. He grinned at their wonder. "Morning, folks. Sleep well?"
Like the dead. I didn't even hear Lindy move during the night, and she usually wakes up at least twice.
Something about this place. The warm air, the sound of the water, it's naturally soothing. I've brought families here who hadn't slept well in months, and they always sleep like babies. After a breakfast of pancakes that Frank insisted on making, they spent the morning exploring Paradise Pond with Lindy. Frank showed them the best spots, sharing his encyclopedic knowledge of the area. "See this fern? It's called a sword fern. Feel how soft it is, Lindy." Lindy reached out tentatively, then giggled when the frond tickled her palm. "And these flowers, they're called columbines. They only grow in special places where the conditions are just right." Special place. That's right, sweetheart. This is a very special place. He showed them the waterfall up close, where the water cascaded over rocks worn smooth by centuries of flow. Behind the waterfall was a small alcove where they could stand and watch the waterfall in front of them like a curtain. Lindy was enchanted, reaching out to touch the water, laughing when it splashed her face. "I like the water, Daddy. Can we swim?"
You want to swim? Right now?
"Yes. Please, please, please." Amy and Ty exchanged glances, both thinking the same thing. This was the Lindy they knew. The fearless, joyful child who loved new experiences. The trauma of the bear encounter was already healing.
I think that sounds perfect.
The afternoon became exactly what Ty dreamed of when he'd first planned this trip: genuine family time, unmarred by fear or stress. They swam in the warm water, Lindy fearless between her parents, splashing and laughing. The hot spring made the pond's temperature perfect, warm enough to be comfortable even for a toddler. Amy floated on her back, staring up at the impossibly blue sky, and felt tension she didn't know she'd been carrying finally release. Beside her, Ty held Lindy up as she swam, her little arms and legs churning the water with determination.
Look at you. You're swimming.
"I'm swimming. Mommy, see? I'm swimming.
I see, baby. You're amazing.
Frank watched from the shore, a book in his lap, occasionally looking up to smile at their joy. There was something healing about watching a family find peace, he thought. Something that made his own loss a little easier to bear. After swimming, they had a picnic lunch in the meadow. Frank had brought extra supplies, and between his contributions and the remaining food, they had a feast: sandwiches, fruit, cheese, cookies that Frank's neighbor had baked. Lindy, you see those dragonflies? Pretty bugs. Want to try to catch one? Not to hurt it, just to see it up close. He showed her how to move slowly, how to let the dragonfly land on her hand if she stayed still. After several attempts, one actually did, its iridescent blue wings gleaming in the sunlight. Lindy's eyes went wide with wonder, and she stayed frozen, barely breathing, until the dragonfly flew away. Daddy, did you see? Bug on my hand.
I saw. That was incredible, Lindy Bear.
They spent the afternoon exploring, collecting interesting rocks and flowers. Frank taught them about the local ecology, about how the hot spring created a unique microclimate that supported species that normally couldn't survive this far north. As the day wore on, Lindy's energy finally began to flag. She climbed into Ty's lap, her head resting against his chest, thumb in her mouth, something she only did when she was truly content and tired.
Someone's had a big day.
The best kind of big day.
He looked down at his daughter, at her peaceful face, and felt something shift in his chest. This was what mattered. Not perfect plans or orchestrated experiences, but simply being present, being available, letting life unfold naturally. Frank began preparing dinner for all of them: fresh trout he'd caught that morning, potatoes wrapped in foil to cook in the fire's coals, a salad from vegetables he'd brought. You folks are welcome to join me. I always cook too much anyway. They ate as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Lindy woke up just in time for dinner, refreshed from her nap, and ate with enthusiasm. After dinner, as darkness fell, they built up the fire. Frank pulled out a harmonica, playing soft, sweet melodies that drifted across the water. Lindy swayed to the music, then asked Ty to dance with her. They danced in the firelight, Lindy standing on Ty's feet as he waltzed her around the camp. Amy watched them, her heart so full it ached.
This is perfect, Frank. Thank you. Doesn't seem like enough.
Watching you folks heal, that's all the thanks I need. You came here scared and exhausted, and now look at you. That little girl is dancing. That's everything. Later, after Lindy was asleep in the tent, Amy and Ty sat by the dying fire with Frank, watching stars emerge in the clear sky.
I've been thinking about what you said last night, about how the best memories are the ones that happen when you stop trying so hard. I think I finally understand what you meant.
Mo!
Today was perfect, but not because I planned it. It was perfect because we just existed. We swam because Lindy wanted to swim. We napped because we were tired. We explored because we were curious. There was no agenda, no schedule, no expectations.
And ironically, it was everything you wanted to give Lindy in the first place. Joy, wonder, connection to nature. It just happened naturally instead of being forced.
That's the secret to most things in life, I think. The harder you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, if you let it be what it is, everything falls into place.
I'm going to remember this, not just here, but at home too. At Heartland, with the horses, with raising Lindy. I'm going to try to stop controlling everything and just be present.
That's all any of us can do. Show up, pay attention, and let life surprise us. They sat in comfortable silence, the only sounds the crackling fire, the gentle lap of water against the shore, and the distant call of a night bird.
Can I ask you something, Frank? Do you ever regret coming back after what happened to your son?
Not for a second. The mountains didn't take my boy, life did. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes cruel, but it's also beautiful and generous and full of moments like this. If I'd stayed away, I'd have missed 20 years of beauty. I'd have missed meeting families like yours, helping them find peace. I'd have missed all the sunrises and starry nights and quiet moments by this pond. My son loved these mountains because they were real dangerous and beautiful in equal measure. Honoring him means living fully, not hiding from life. His words resonated deeply with both Amy and Ty. They'd come so close to letting fear win, to packing up and going home, letting one bad experience poison the whole trip.
I almost did that. Almost let fear win. If you hadn't shown up last night, we'd be home right now, and Lindy would remember this trip as the time a bear scared her. Instead, she'll remember Paradise Pond, swimming in warm water, catching dragonflies.
That's the gift of perspective. One bad day doesn't define the trip, just like one bad experience doesn't define a life. You get to choose what you remember, what you carry forward. Their last morning at Paradise Pond arrived too soon. They packed slowly, none of them eager to leave this sanctuary. Lindy helped, carefully, placing her collected rocks and pressed flowers in a box Frank had given her. Take special rocks home?
Absolutely. So you can always remember this place.
Frank walked them back to the main trail, carrying Lindy on his shoulders one last time. At the trailhead where their truck was parked, he set her down and crouched to her level. Lindy, you were very brave on this trip, and you brought a lot of joy to an old man. Thank you for that. He handed her a small carved wooden dragonfly. I made this last night, so you'll always remember the dragonfly that landed on your hand. Thank you, Frank. I love it. She hugged him fiercely, and Frank's eyes welled with tears. Amy and Ty saw grief and healing mixed in his expression, understood that helping them had helped him too. You're welcome back anytime, but you didn't hear that from me. Paradise Pond is a secret. He handed Ty a piece of paper with GPS coordinates.
We'll guard it with our lives. Thank you, Frank, for everything.
Take care of that family, Ty, and remember, let them breathe. The tighter you hold, the less they can grow. The drive home was peaceful, full of comfortable silence broken by Lindy's occasional commentary about the pretty water and Frank's music and the dragonfly on my hand. She clutched her wooden dragonfly like treasure, already creating the story she'd tell her grandfather. As Heartland Ranch came into view, Amy reached over and took Ty's hand.
Are you okay? I know this wasn't the trip you planned.
It was better than the trip I planned. I wanted to control everything, make it perfect. Instead, I learned to let go, to trust that even when things go wrong, they can still end up right.
Paradise Pond.
Paradise Pond. We almost missed it, Amy. If we'd stuck to my original plan, if the bear hadn't forced us to relocate, if Frank hadn't shown up, we never would have found it.
So maybe the bear was a blessing in disguise.
Maybe everything is, if you look at it right.
They pulled up to the ranch house where Jack, Lou, and Georgie waited on the porch. Lindy was out of her car seat the moment the truck stopped, running to her grandfather with her wooden dragonfly held high. Grandpa, look what Foink made me. And I catch dragonfly, and swim in warm water, and see so many flowers. Jack scooped her up, his eyes meeting Ty's over her head with understanding and approval.
Sounds like you had quite an adventure.
Please tell me there were no more bear encounters.
Actually, we found something better than bears. We found paradise.
That evening, after Lindy was asleep, Amy and Ty stood on their loft balcony, looking out over Heartland in the gathering dusk.
You know what I realized? I've been approaching everything like a checklist. Work with this horse. Fix that fence. Create this perfect memory. But life doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. Life is messy and unpredictable and full of detours.
And that's okay. Better than okay. The detours are where the magic happens.
He pulled her close, both of them tired but content.
So what now? Back to reality.
Back to reality. but with a new perspective. I'm going to try to stop controlling everything. Stop gripping so tight. Let life surprise me,
Let us surprise you.
especially that.
They stood together as stars emerged overhead, the same stars they'd seen at Paradise Pond, constant and beautiful. The camping trip hadn't been what Ty planned, but it had been exactly what their family needed. A reminder that the best moments in life are often the ones you never see coming, and that sometimes you have to lose your way to find where you're meant to be. That concludes today's episode of Heartland. After the terror of their bear encounters, the Borden family discovered something they never expected: Paradise Pond, a hidden sanctuary where they could finally relax and simply be together. Through Frank's guidance and wisdom, Ty learned the hardest lesson of all, that trying to control everything means missing the beauty that happens naturally. Amy and Ty reconnected, not through forced romantic moments, but through the simple act of being present with each other and their daughter. Lindy's joy returned, her trauma healing in the warm water and among the wildflowers of paradise. Most importantly, they learned that the detours, the unexpected changes, the plans that fall apart often lead to destinations more beautiful than anything they could have orchestrated. Paradise Pond wasn't on Ty's itinerary, but it became the heart of their trip, the place where healing happened and memories were made. And they learned it from Frank, a man who'd transformed his own tragedy into a gift for others, who understood that beauty and pain exist together, and that honoring loss means living fully. If you enjoyed this peaceful and healing episode, please like and subscribe and tell us in the comments. Have you ever found your own Paradise Pond? A place where you could finally breathe and just be? We'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, this is Western Flavors.